What's up? What's up? Another day leveled up. It's your boy Salem back with another one for you. How's everybody been doing? Hope everybody's been doing well. It's all good over here. Today, we're going to be talking about hacking reality, the rules of reality, and how to sync up to your dreams, because that's what you're going to be doing essentially. But before I get into today's topic, I just want to let you guys know, starting yesterday, I opened myself up to free one-on-one consultations to help you guys level up, reach new heights, break old programming. If you feel like there's anything internally that's blocking you from reaching your goals and desires, I'm here to help you. So, link is in description. If you feel I'm able to help you, book a time, put in the description what I could help you with, and I'll be excited to actually jump on that call with you. Let's start. Let's get into today's topic. So, with hacking reality, in order to do this, we're going to have to understand quantum physics. And no, I am not a Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I've done my research and have the willingness to actually understand. So that alone will get you far in life. But in layman's terms, quantum physics is basically realizing that everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. And we actually have a hand. We actually have a hand on how that plays out. There's actually parallel realities going on around us at the same time that we may not be able to see with our eyes. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the movie Interstellar, but this movie depicts parallel realities perfectly. I remember when I first seen that movie, I was mind blown. Some people watched it and were just like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't understand. And I had to watch it like a couple times until I actually understood that. But we have to realize that we actually determine the life that we live. There's a dream life. There's you actually living in your dream life, separate in another parallel reality right now. There's you living in the present, and there's also another you living in another parallel reality, unfavorable to what you would like to desire. It's insane. Sounds science fiction, but the truth is actually crazier than fiction. But once we start to try to realize that, actually finally grasp that everything is energy operating at a certain vibration and frequency, we could then start figuring out what we could do to actually change the things around us. Our frequency is actually determined by our dominant thoughts. A lot of us don't actually take note of what our dominant thoughts are. That's why it's so good to meditate and actually just sit with your thoughts and figure out, like, why have I been thinking about this so much? Is it something I need to actually be fearing? Is it something that could actually happen? Is it something in my past? Why can't I just like get rid of it? If it's not operating in the present, then it's no longer favorable to me. We also have to realize that the world operates in masculine and feminine energies. So ourselves as well, our mind and heart, our mind is the masculine energy, our heart is the feminine energy. When we sync those two up, we are at such a high, powerful masculine energy that the world, which is feminine, will actually receive our energy and actually tune to it and actually shift to what we are actually trying to portray to it and actually put into the world, because the world is feminine in its nature. When mind and heart actually sync up, reality starts to shift. It's like water. This is where visualization and prayer come into play. My great-grandma, she used to sit in church in the very front row. Everyone loved her. She would always bring gifts. She would always be the most happy person. She taught myself and my family so many things and just how to be spiritual, but in simple terms that we couldn't really understand deeply. But one thing that stood out to me was she would tell us she would always pray until she felt something. She would always pray until she felt something. So if she was unconscious of it or not, my great grandma was shifting her frequency and her level of vibration, that things around her would shift because she would actually tune herself into a frequency to receive what it is she was desiring. That's where visualization comes into play. Prayer is essentially visualization. You do it till you feel an emotion. You actually want to get the energy in motion. The old Indians, the Native Americans, when they would pray for rain, they weren't praying it with a sense of lack. They were praying as if the rain was already there. They would actually try to fill the mud underneath their feet as if it had already rained, tuning themselves so the world would actually reciprocate and mirror what they were actually feeling. The world doesn't know if you are actually experiencing whatever it is you're internalizing, real or not. But if you are walking around carrying that actual vibration, the world will actually mirror that back. Your current reality is formed by past conditioning and unconscious thoughts. So like I said, we have a reality that's operating simultaneously to us right now, our desired outcome, the one unfavorable and then the present. We could choose on which one we want to actually tune to. Why would you try to internalize the fear? Why not actually accept what's going on and actually tune into another reality that you know is there? You may not be able to see it. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can actually internalize those feelings that you do desire. You want this type of lifestyle. You want that car. You want this money. You want that girlfriend. You want the relationship because of the feeling you're going to feel once you actually get it. So actually try to figure out what actual emotions you're trying to feel and fill them in the present while you're visualizing. Think of yourself as a tuning fork. When you actually hit a tuning fork, there's another one on the opposite end. The other fork will actually resonate and start ringing at the same tone as the other fork. That's what you are. That's what the world is. It's another fork tuning to what you are actually trying to actually tune yourself to. That's why it's so important to prioritize how you feel before you leave the house. Focus on gratitude. Gratitude, I feel, has been so just taken so far that people don't even be grateful anymore because they feel it's like a fake thing to do. But they don't realize what's happening when you're actually eternalizing gratitude rather than just like repeating affirmations of just words and not actually feeling them. You're not really getting anything out of it. But when you actually internally feel grateful, you're literally tuning yourself so the world could actually bring you more things to be grateful for. Gratitude is the key. Emotion is key. It's the most simple and most powerful thing you could do. Being grateful from the start, before you leave your house, the world will still tune to you and bring people, scenarios, circumstances in your life so you are more grateful, because that's the vibration that you're emitting. Emotion is key. Syncing up your mind and heart is key as well. And it's hard to actually sync your mind up with your heart. For me, my struggle with, which is a gift and curse, I feel, I would always have to figure out how things worked. So until I figured out how they worked, I wouldn't believe it. I would be stubborn. But I love wisdom. I just have a love for just getting more wisdom. So with all these things that I talk about and that I affirm to myself, I go about reading these things, or sometimes just do social experiments to affirm, so I could adopt that belief that what I did here and what I'm telling myself is true. Because only once my mind believes it, then I could actually allow myself to feel that emotion. You have to combine the mind. You have to combine the mind and heart first, but figure out what actual narrative you're allowing to play out that's stopping you from feeling that emotion, because there's something there. There's something there that's telling you, like, no, because you're maybe black, maybe because you grew up in this type of neighborhood, because your parents aren't together, because you were bullied, you're not able to do X and X. But I've never allowed myself to be a victim. I've always allowed myself to feel that out. The power is in my hands sometimes. Even as a kid, I was always trying to figure out how things worked. I would take remotes apart, I would build my own toys. I just want to know how things worked. I don't know why, I just always had that desire. But once you actually figure this out, then now's the time to stop being too analytical. You want to become simple-minded once you start to understand. Then you can actually be calm and actually relax and let things happen, because the craziest thing to do is actually dismiss the present moment as if you had a choice. And if you don't like your current reality, look at what you're unconsciously choosing, because there's always something that you're unconsciously choosing if you have an unfavorable present reality. Everyone does. This will always happen. This will always continue to happen. Even for myself, we always have to sit down with our thoughts. If there's something I want that I don't currently have, I got to figure out, what am I doing that does not allow me to actually experience what I desire? What am I choosing unconsciously? So I'm going to get into the levels of consciousness. Levels of consciousness now. So you guys could look up the level of consciousness chart. So on this chart, it shows that each level of consciousness vibrates at a certain frequency. It'll start low as shame at like 25. And it goes up from there. It goes all the way up to 1,000, which is 700 plus as enlightenment. But you get to a point where you get to 100. That is fear. That is the vibration of fear. You get a little above fear, you're at anger. A little bit above anger is pride. So fear is 100, anger is 150, pride is 175. Neutrality is at 200. Majority of society is actually operating not even at a neutral stance, a neutral vibration. How crazy is that? Once you start to believe that and actually see what's going on, then you start to see how society is so easily controlled and susceptible to suggestion, because they're not even operating at a neutral vibration. Courage is right above pride. People aren't even at courage. They don't even have the courage to actually think for themselves. It's crazy. Anything below 200 is a low vibration. More control, you're more suggestible. People at higher consciousness are more still, you'll realize. They're more calm. Things that vibrate at a higher level look like they're at rest. You'll see a wheel moving so quick it looks like it may not be moving. A light fixture is actually moving at such a high vibration that it's a steel light. It's just it's emitting a certain energy, but it's at such a high vibration. There's this massage gun I was playing with at my friend's house, and had a ball at the end of the gun that was an attachment to it. But you could change the speed, and you could change it to such a high speed that the ball looked like it was at rest, but when it hit you, it almost threw you off, because it was just so much force and vibration going there. You're just not aware, and you're not used to that. But the same goes with people. Someone operating at such a high consciousness, they look like they're at a calm and type of attitude, and they walk around with this poise. It's like almost unbelievable to people. And I want to get into a quote in this book, The Kabbalion. I've referenced this book in a few past videos. This is Hermetic Philosophy, the 7 Hermetic Principles by the Hermetics. But I'm going to get into a few things I've highlighted that I could put in my own words, but it's just better if I just read off. But here we go. The vibration of spirit is at such an infinite rate of intensity and rapidity that it is practically at rest, just as a rapidly moving wheel seems to be motionless. And at the other end of the scale, there are gross forms of matter whose vibrations are so low as to seem at rest. There's another few quotes here. The master of Humetics polarizes himself at a point at which he desires to rest, and then neutralizes the rhythmic swing of the pendulum which would tend to carry him to the other pole. If he's operating at such a high level of consciousness, he knows how to remain there so the world doesn't swing him back to a low vibration. All individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less unconsciously, but the master does this consciously and by the use of his will, and attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of the masses who are swung back and forward like a pendulum. That's what's going on right now in the news. If you're watching the news, you're just being swung back and forth. The Hermetists understand the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect to a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, heredity, suggestion, and other outward causes moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life. My player ones, my dudes, it's telling you right here that life is a game. We have to be in charge, the players. We have to actually realize that we can determine what happens in our reality. But anyone who wants to get into deeper philosophy, I encourage you to get this book, The Kabbalion. Still blows my mind. But to continue, like I said, the levels of 100 to 175, fear, anger, and pride are at a low vibration. That's the sweet spot for society, to keep you controlled. The COVID scare right now, that's fear. The Black Lives Matters movement, that's pride. It's crazy that people think that pride will allow them to be actually swayed and controlled. Pride, you're actually left to believe that you are actually in charge almost. But it's a narrative letting you know that you need help at the same time. You're still a victim, and you're like trying to be prideful because you know you are a victim, which is so backwards. It's crazy. It's so subtle, but it's sly. But the only way out is to wake up. Realize what narrative are you allowing yourself to actually play out and actualize in your reality. You gotta consciously internalize instead of unconsciously internalize what's going on in order to wake up. Adopt a sense of pronoia, a belief that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. That's what I do for myself. I can only see that in retrospect, but once I actually sit down and actually look back on my life and realize everything that had happened has been beneficial for me, that when I do experience anything that I feel is unfavorable to me in the present moment, I remember that the universe is always conspiring in my favor no matter what scenario is here in the present. I always remember that, and then I'm able to not be so swayed and operate out of anger or at a low vibration, because I know always that the universe is conspiring in my favor. That gives you a sense of power. And if you don't like something, you could actually figure out how to change it in the present moment. Something as simple as, if you want to get stronger in the gym, if you want to lose weight, if you want more money, don't sit and dwell why you don't have it. Figure out how to get in better shape. Figure out how to make more money instead of always dwelling on how little money you have. Figure it out. You're the only one in your way. You're the only one carrying around this internal belief that you don't know how to get what it is you want. There's always a way to get it. And what a lot of people don't realize is that people that you look up to, like artists, rappers, and athletes, you think they actually dwelled on their unfavorable circumstance? A lot of them came from harsh beginnings. You think they dwelled on that? What they did was sat and literally internalized and visualized and felt the emotion of having what they desired and move in that direction rather than looking at what they don't have. So with that, I just want to conclude this video, but touch back on some certain key topics. So remember to always try to tune yourself before you leave the house. Tune yourself to this desired reality. You are a tuning fork. You set the vibration. You set the tone on how your day goes in more ways than one. You actually set the tone of your tuning fork and how the reality is going to actually respond to you. Society will always be on the other side to lead you their way if you don't actually set the tone. So make that your priority. The universe is always conspiring in your favor. Adopt that belief, because especially during these times, you have to realize that the universe is conspiring in your favor. No matter what you see in the news, you have to still adopt this sense of pronoia. Know that all is well. This too shall pass. But I can conclude this video. If any of this resonated with you guys, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I drop more content. Like I said when I started the video, I'm now open up to do free one-on-one consultations. If you have anything you want me to help you with, if you need to reach new heights, if you need to break old programming, if you need to just remove something internally that you're feeling is blocking you from getting your desired reality, book a time slot. I'd be excited to help you out and just learn from you guys as well. But with that said, a belief may be comforting, but only through true experience could it be liberating. Grant yourself permission to level up. Until next time, it's your boy Salem. I'm out.